Uh, Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the FearFans podcast. I'm your host, Don Elmy, here with my co-host, Nick Muley. And joining us again is the head of the Things Network, Jeremy York.
Hello.
Yep. And so last podcast, we talked about Night of the Living Dead franchise, the original, and the good remake and the bad remake. But this time, we decided to look into some more Stephen King works, and we decided to look into what I consider one of the darkest stories that he's ever written, Pet Sematary.
Definitely a classic.
Oh, yeah. It was a novel that was released in 1983, but even though Stephen King had wrote it years before, but he had shelved it. I believe he wrote it in the late 70s, but he had shelved it because he thought, maybe I'm going too far with this. This is like a really dark story. But he's like, okay, I'll just release it anyway. And so 1983, it was released and then made into a film adaptation in 1989, sequel released in 1992, and it was remade in 2019 on the 30th anniversary of the original film.
Yeah, it's gone quite a long ways. Not to mention that now there's yet another one that's going to eventually be made for the remake, which I heard they might make it a prequel.
Yeah, I'm hoping prequel and don't repeat the same mistake as the original version did when they made a sequel that was completely done by scratch and a version that Stephen King wanted absolutely nothing to do with.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully with the sequel on this one or the prequel, it'll show how the cemetery came to be the way that it is and how it got its magic.
Yeah. Oh, here, somebody's commenting here saying, fantastic book. I'm actually in the middle of reading it again now. Yeah,
Awesome.
that book. Yeah, like I've read the book myself about 3 years ago, and don't get me wrong, excellent read. But when I was done reading, I was just like, man, that was grim.
Yeah.
Yeah, the book is definitely darker than the movie.
I have not read the book.
Well, I highly recommend it, Jeremy.
Yeah.
It's
Whoever's Facebook user, use this link right here so we could see you guys on your names because we can only see you as Facebook user.
oh
I
yes,
put the
Yeah.
banner down here is what will allow you to give StreamYard permission to use your name so we can see you.
I'm gonna give them the actual link to click on.
there we are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Oh, for the personal page, we got Rosie watching and also Robert White from Australia watching.
Oh,
Come
sweet.
over to the network page.
Yeah. Come over to the network page so we can see you guys.
Yeah, because if you comment on the personal pages, the comment will not make it to StreamYard. We won't be able to see it.
That's why I'm actually writing that. Good thing I copied that message from last week. I'm actually about to put that comment down right now on the personal chat. On the personal chat of where the show is broadcasting.
Yes. And well, you guys should know about when Stephen King was writing Pet Sematary. You know how they say art imitates life. Well, there are a few aspects of the story that actually were true in from Stephen King's experiences, because he actually did, as we all know, he has lived in Maine with his where he raised his family, and one of his and one of the house that he had lived in nearby that there actually was a path to a pet cemetery, but there was no Native American burial ground that has the power to bring things back as evil beings. You know, that part he made up himself. But there actually was one time where his one of his sons, I think I'm trying to remember if it was Owen King, one of his sons was running like out into the road, almost got hit by a truck, and so Stephen King like just scooped him up at the last minute, saved his life, and we all know what that led to in the film and into the books.
Yeah, I think it was Owen because he's the youngest of the kids. Because by that point, the oldest Joe was already in Creepshow, and he was already about 7 or 8 at that time.
Yeah, I believe that sounds accurate.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man, but yeah, obviously in the book it shows the tragic ending that would have happened if Steven hadn't saved Owen in time.
Yeah. So Pet Cemetery, despite being what he actually called the scariest book he's ever written, it actually tackles the worst fear of every parent.
Oh yeah, the worst fear and the worst, just the worst tragedy any parent can go through, losing a child,
Yeah.
especially a 2-year-old boy, Gage.
Yeah.
Right. And watching it happen and nothing you can do about it.
Yeah. Yeah. One of the saddest tragedies anybody could ever go through.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. It's like if you kind of look at it too, because obviously it's not the only death, obviously, in the film. Of course, that also went the same for their family cats. And losing a pet is bad, but losing a child is even worse.
We can see you now, Joshua.
Yeah, we see you,
Oh,
Josh.
yeah, here. Oh, it was Josh. That's why I was wondering who that was. There you go. There you go.
Yeah, we got you in here.
Yep.
Yeah. And so, which is one of the themes that this story has. It one of the basically themes about it is that the inability to cope with loss, and the other being about the dangers of crossing a natural boundary that was not meant to be crossed, doing something that would disturb the natural order of things.
Right.
So even though it doesn't necessarily talk about it, but the whole theme about the Pet Cemetery is basically you are taking, in most cases, the pet, but towards the end of the movie, his son or daughter, if you're talking the remake, is you literally have turned your own children into a zombie.
Yes. It's like you try to reverse, tamper with fate, but and then you end up just creating even bigger tragedies.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just that kind of situation when you think about it. Even Stephen King once asked in a situation like this, like if you've lost a loved one or a pet, how far would you go trying to bring that child back or pet back to life, but not exactly the way you're going to anticipate it's going to be. It's going to be something completely different, inhuman.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I can completely understand you wanting your loved one back, but for me, honestly, I wouldn't want to bring them back because that means I would have to go through the painful process of losing them again and going through that grieving process.
Going through that cycle again.
Yeah. So I would not want to put that on myself because I've already gone through that. It's one of the worst things in the world to go through because I did that with my mom. I can't imagine doing that with a child.
Yeah.
I
hear you.
And the second time around might be worse than the first time.
Yeah, it could be. And then
it's one of the worst things that could ever happen to anybody. So,
yeah,
even if no matter, I mean, and I think we could all agree. I mean, like, no matter how much we'd love to, reunite with our family members that, have either died suddenly or whatever, the idea of actually trying to bring them back is never a good idea because you're really, put it this way, you're kind of almost defying the laws of how death works. You're becoming that person who is daring to play God. And a lot of times when people want to play God, it often ends in deadly results.
And in a ironic, strange coincidence, my good friend Amanda, she has her own son named Gage.
Oh,
so
yeah,
she's gonna go ask him.
Yes, Aaron, we can see it.
Yep, we see Aaron. Hello.
He's older. He's 18, Amanda. And hello to Carl and everybody else that's joined
Good
us.
to see you, Carl.
Yep. 30-year animal rescuer. I've experienced it all. Oh, yeah. There's I've had
20 years.
I've had my experience with losing pets, but I'm pretty sure I would never want to just bring them back by burying them in cursed ground, just in the hopes that they'll come back the same and everything's just resolved like that. But that's just like disturbing. Like I said, crossing the line that was not meant to be crossed. Just this. But like you said, playing God. That's just something that's just wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So even like what Anthony Lewis just said, the movie asks questions: will the person be the same person after being raised from the dead? Which often, most cases, it's not.
No,
it's usually. I mean, the truth of the matter is, in Pet Sematary, when these animals and people come back, we really don't know what they are. We don't know if there's some type of ghosts. We don't know if there's some type of demons or ghouls or just some type of inhuman being. The only thing we really know is that it's not the same person or animal. It is just these undead beings that are just absolutely pure evil and have nothing else on their minds other than wanting to cause basically death and destruction.
Well, I think that what it is that because you end up losing your soul and your spirit when you're dead, and when your body is reanimated, it's not going to be the same because you're not just going to pull that spirit right back into the body. You're just going to reanimate it and reanimate the brain, where it's basically going to go back to its natural primitive instincts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And like one of the things that they didn't do in the original version, which they did in the remake, was like very loosely in the remake they referenced in the book the actions of a Wendigo that had cursed the ground, so that anything you bury there is brought back possessed by evil forces. And like, which is kind of strange when you think about it, because when you look into like the I mean, Nick, you and I know pretty well the whole lures about the Wendigo, right? How usually Wendigos are depicted as like they're it's a Wendigo is like a Native American word for evil that devours, and it's like an entity that possesses somebody to cannibalize and become a vicious monster. And but that wasn't the case in Pet Sematary. This one seemed to more focused on cursing the ground, Brinto being able to bring back the dead. So it looked like this Wendigo in particular was specializing in necromancy.
It is possible, the way how I kind of see it is that, well, the only thing that's really, kind of have that connection to the Wendigo is, although it's a pet cemetery, at the same time, it still has that Native American burial. What's up, Dave? Good to see you. It's still designated as a Native American burial ground because that was obviously an area where Native Americans lived. They buried their dead in that area, and it's always been said, anytime an Indian burial ground is often disturbed, it will usually release the unholy. So it does have that theme, but I think it is possible in this case with the Wendigo, unlike most stories and legends where usually it involves, going out and cannibalizing its victims.
Yeah.
To me, the way I could describe it, it's almost like it's cursing this pet cemetery as like to mark its territory, if you will, almost like giving that kind of sending that warning, like, stay away from that area because this area is evil. You bury something, you pay the ultimate price.
That could be the case, yes, because whether it's your cat or your 2-year-old son, it's not coming back the same. Like they introduced in the story, Ellie's cat, Church, who was nicest, sweetest cat ever, but then gets struck by one of the trucks, and like that was like a heart. Nick,
hi Nick.
Nick, quit messing with your keyboard, man.
Yeah. This is twice.
Nick?
Hey,
sorry,
welcome back
sorry, I'm back.
Nick.
What happened?
This is twice now he's done that.
I somehow lost connection for a second. I was able to get it back, so
okay.
I'm fine. I'm good now.
Anyway, it was a hard. Anyway,
you don't have a storm in the area, do you?
No, we don't have any storms. It was just sometimes connection will go out every once in a while, just randomly. So I've been on my computer all day today.
Okay.
So
Nick, I'm the one who's supposed to have the Wi-Fi issues, not you.
Okay, so Yeah, Nick, we were just discussing how let's see, where was I? How when like the scene like with church was like kind of hard to, was pretty hard to watch. They are like a beloved family cat had been dead, and they had to like peel its body out of the frozen grass. You know,
Ugh.
Yeah,
yeah,
Yeah.
that was.
yeah. There were plenty of disturbing scenes in this, like Zelda, for instance. Rachel's, like Lewis's wife, Rachel, had a sister named Zelda who was suffered severe spinal
Oh,
meningitis.
I
Mm.
remember that. Yep.
And to make the scene even more, the crazy thing is in that scene, what they had to play Zelda, like Zelda was not played by an actual little girl. They had like a guy like wearing like a heavy lots of makeup, giving up because they thought it would be more disturbing that this severely sick girl would look even more disturbing if it was played by a guy. And I gotta say, they're not wrong.
I was not surprised when I found out that it was actually played by a guy to begin with, because to me, even when I saw it for the first time, it didn't look like a woman playing that character. But it just, yeah, that was probably even more disturbing than anything else, because it was, I don't know, I guess it's just, I don't even know how to really describe it, to be honest with you.
Oh yeah, both original and remake were disturbing with
Yeah.
Zelda.
Almost everyone that I've talked to about this movie had said that Zelda to them was the scariest part of the movie.
It certainly was one of the most memorable aspects of it.
Oh yeah.
Like,
But for me personally, it's the guy that gets is a victim of the hit and run early in the movie. The one that's got
Victor,
the dash in his head.
Victor
Oh,
Pascal.
yeah.
Yes. When he comes back and it's almost like he's in the guy's dream, but not really. To me, that's the scariest part of the movie.
It was
Yeah.
scariest part of it's a scary part in both the movie and the book because
Oh yeah.
Victor like he was like pretty much dead on arrival when first brought to Lewis, being treated at the university's hospital. But it's because being hit by the truck and hit by that tree, at least that's how they described it in the book. Left part of his brain exposed. So I'm like,
Yeah.
there's no way that guy's surviving. But he just
Right.
basically comes back as a spirit warning. Basically comes back as a spirit warning Lewis about the dangers of the burial ground, how the barrier is not meant to be crossed. And
Right.
Lewis thinks it's all a dream when he wakes up in his bed, but lifts up the sheet to find that his feet are dirty. So it wasn't a dream.
Right. Holy cow, we got a story right here from Cheyenne. It's actually all about the Wendigo. Yeah. And Jeremy, I don't even have to explain, because I know a lot about the Wendigo as well, like I do with other cryptids. Yeah, and see, it even says here with Stephen King. Yep.
Wow.
And it's still, I can tell it's still see, that's the second comment I've seen in a row because of that, because Aaron wrote something similar like that, but more on the book though than talking about the Wendigo.
Oh yeah, we actually were going over that part where his son Owen was almost run over by a truck.
Right.
Yeah, it said that he almost didn't even submit that to be published because of how scary it was. But the thing is, when it comes to writing stories, especially something like this, I think it should be written because there are underlying tones in there that really do need to be addressed. If you really read between the lines, one, it definitely raises the awareness that, hey, you need to keep an eye on your kids, especially when you're outside.
Right.
Yeah, that's
especially if you're a busy road.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there were times where they paid like more attention to Ellie than Gage in the film, like when Ellie saw like the tire swing broke and she scraped up her knee. Like they left Gage unattended when he got out of the car and almost got hit by the truck. Well, if it wasn't for Judd, Gage probably would have been dead at that point of the film.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I want to say this: I do love what was his name, Fred Gwynn's performance as Judd.
Yes.
He really with that accent. He's just like,
my god,
yeah,
it's amazing.
Yeah, where he's like,
and the way that he says the phrase "dad is better."
Yeah, sometimes dad is better.
Yeah. The
You know
way
what
that
the
he
next-
says that, it just really drives it into you.
I know.
Oh yeah, like he.
Did you guys know, by the way, that Fred Gwynn, when he was in that film, he actually yes, and I was gonna bring that up. Of course, obviously you all remember him from the Munsters.
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
Herman Munster. Yeah.
But did you guys know that when he did this film, even though he was like older, his hair wasn't actually white. They actually had him dye it white to make
Oh
him look like an elderly resident.
yeah.
So
To
his
be
hair
more.
was still kind of more darkish grayish at that time.
Oh yeah. I mean, yeah, they did that to make him look old, like just like in the book. He's supposed to be an elderly man, and this is like one of my favorite roles that Fred Gwynn has done. This alongside he also played the judge in My Cousin Vinny.
Oh wow,
Yeah,
really?
yeah, that was him. Yeah, and which was a great film for him to go out on because I believe, to my knowledge, My Cousin Vinny was the last theatrical film that he had starred in before his death in 1993 due to pancreatic cancer, I believe.
Oh yeah, he died. I was gonna say I do recall. Well, I don't actually remember, but I do recall that he passed away the same year I was born, 1993.
yeah. It wasn't too long after Pet Cemetery.
Yeah,
Uh,
Brad.
but yeah, he was. A lot of people really liked him in the different roles that he did. What I especially like, now this kind of gets away from Pet Cemetery, but what I especially liked was in one of the monster movies that he did. He actually did a tribute to another TV series that he used to be a part of called Car 54. Where are you?
Yes,
oh
I
yeah,
remember that show too from before he did the Monsters, and he did
Yeah.
it with whoever the guy's name was, who was who was Grandpa Monster in the Monsters. He too was in Car 54. Where are you as well?
oh
Al Lewis.
Al Lewis, yeah, that's his
Yeah.
name. Don, really quickly, Rosie's interested in coming on, but she can only pop on for a minute. Do you mind if I send? And same with Carl. Do you
Oh, yeah.
mind if I send them links? Now
Sure
you can
thing.
get an opportunity to meet some of the other show hosts, but
Sounds good.
Rosie can only stay on for a minute, though.
I understand.
Yeah. So, but you guys can keep talking. I'm just sending the links.
Oh, sure thing. So, yeah, I will say this: I do love as much as I love his portrayal of Judd, spot on. But like it seems like there were so many great performances, like Denise Crosby, her performance as Rachel, like she pulled it off well, and so did Miko Hughes, his role as Gage, and the thing is, when I saw his face, I'm thinking this kid looks familiar. I looked him up. He's Dylan in New Nightmare.
Really?
Yep, it's him.
Wow.
He was also in a few episodes of Full House. That's where I know him mostly.
Kindergarten Cop.
Oh,
Yeah, he was
geez,
also.
we got them both on.
Oh, here we go.
Don, meet Carl.
Hey,
Don,
Carl.
meet Rosie.
There's Rosie.
Hello.
Good to see you guys.
Hey,
How
everybody.
you doing? Hey,
Carl?
how you doing this evening?
And also with Denise Crosby, this is not her first Stephen King film to be a part of either.
Nice.
Wow.
Yeah.
Actually,
Whether, So, how you two doing this evening?
Doing great. How are you doing?
actually, I'm giving my kid a bath, but he's in the bath playing with toys right now. So,
Yeah, Don, if you haven't seen their shows, Rosie, she does Night Terror Collective and Spectral Sailor. And Carl, down just below me, he does a show, just two shows before us, Paranormal Nation Radio.
Right.
Oh, yeah, I think I saw that on the list, on the schedule.
Yep.
Yeah, I definitely gonna have to start watching that. Yeah,
We had a very interesting show tonight there. We had our friend Luke from Wales on there.
Wow.
He had a paranormal experience today.
Ooh.
hey, Anthony.
Different than what most people would think. See, he's an IT specialist in security.
Okay.
He got called to do a job. He goes over there, their laptops. He turns on the laptops, turns them on. His girlfriend's comes on and says low battery. They were fully charged when they walked in. His came up and it's the Windows emblem started and then shut down and said low battery. Right?
Oh,
So he's going, okay, our computer's cracked. So he goes on Facebook Marketplace, buys 2 more laptops, goes, gets them, comes back. They do the exact same thing. He goes, well, crap, maybe, I got bad laptops off Facebook. Shit like that happens.
Yeah, it
So
does.
he goes to their big store like Best Buy over there and buys a brand new Asus laptop, one of the best ones you can get. Goes over there, takes it out of the box, plugs it in. It won't even come on.
oh,
So he goes, okay.
Where was this location at?
He's in over in the UK.
Oh, in the UK.
We'll put
You
it
said
that way.
Wales, right?
Right. In between Wales and London.
hmm.
There. So he goes outside to his vehicle, plugs in the charger, turns his laptop on, everything works. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So he's
Right.
going, well, crap, what is this? He gets outside with his laptop. It's got a full battery in it. He just had it charged in for 2 minutes. Still had the full battery in it. He walks over and he's thinking about it and he leans back against the building and the laptop shuts down.
Yeah.
Wow.
He
That's,
gathered up all his stuff and said, we're leaving. Bye.
that,
I
that's
knew where the
bizarre.
location was.
Here's the best part. The building was built in 1705.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Wow.
That's
It
old.
was a cotton mill where they made blankets,
The cornmeal.
Wow.
right? Okay. They had child labor in there way before the child labor laws were.
Did they raise sheep there too, or whatever?
No, they
No.
they got the wool and yarn, made all the blankets and different things. But he researched the companies back through there when they had the mill going. They had over 30 deaths a year inside that mill.
Wow.
Wow.
30 deaths.
Yeah. So he got on our
Jeez.
show and told Denise about it and everything. He goes, ever since I started watching Pride and More Paranormal on our network and everything, he goes, things are starting to happen. Right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes, this one today he says, I can't explain it. It's totally unexplainable.
Man.
Yeah. With that many electronic devices shutting
Wow.
down or
Wow.
whatever, that's kind of odd.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to watch the show. Yeah, because that's
Watch the
that's
show and
terrifying.
everything. Luke, he'll be here in the United States here in about 60 days and everything.
Awesome.
And he'll be living in Texas and then coming up here where I'm at and everything and buying a house. So you're going to see a lot more of him on the networks.
Oh,
Awesome.
Right. Nice. Yeah. So, this podcast, FearFans podcast, we're talking about Stephen King's Pet Sematary, the book and the movies. Yeah.
The old one, the first one, the original,
The
All of them.
original,
All
the
of them.
sequel, and the remake.
just all of them. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know if you're being like, like the snob version, like the very first one, the original, or the book only, or the second one, or the remake.
No, I look into all of them. So
Yeah.
And we've seen them all, so
Oh, yeah.
we're pretty familiar. Yeah, as Aaron just said, all of the above.
There you go. That's the best way to put
I'll
it.
be right back.
So we've been talking about some of the things that were in the book and in the movies, and also discussed in some of the things that are kind of underlying what he's been writing that you become really aware of. Like for me, one of the things that really pop out at me is making sure you're keeping an eye on your children,
oh yeah.
and especially when you're outdoors and near a busy highway.
Right.
Oh yeah, like I know how that is. I've got nieces and nephews that I whenever I'm with them, my eye is always on them. Because especially like with my nephew who's just a little over a year old. He's been learning how to walk, so now you have to like watch him more than ever.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. You got to watch the little ones because you turn their back, they'll be a block away.
Yep.
Oh
I mean, they're that, especially the ones that are starting to walk. they learn how to run real quick. And trying to catch one, sometimes that's a fun chore.
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
it is.
And
Hello,
then
Angelo.
Good to
it
see you,
depends
Angelo.
on kids and everything. Like I've got a nephew who's 11. He's autistic, fully autistic. When we're outside, I really have to keep an eye on him
Oh, yes.
and
Yeah.
everything, you know, and stuff. But yeah, kids. And that's one thing about networks. The kids come first.
Oh, yes. Kids always
Put it
come
that
first in
way.
everything.
That's it.
Absolutely.
Correct.
Yeah.
Aaron makes a good point here, which is keep an eye on your children, but also you can't play God.
Yep. Those are two ways of looking at Pet Sematary. Definitely.
Mhm.
And now she's
Yeah, and it's the same way with me with my daughter. But back before, if I didn't have a hold of her hand, she would dart, and just like Carl is saying, in a second's time, she can be a block away.
Yeah. And you not even realize it.
Yeah,
You know,
It
you could be
happens so fast.
you could be walking and somebody come up and talk and go to shake your hand. You reach over and shake your hand. They're 150 feet away from you by the time you turn around.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah.
That's just their natural instinct.
Yep.
Yeah, very true. Yeah. I mean, I
It
took
could
my.
happen like literally in the snap of a finger. You know, that's how fast it could all, you know, one moment. It's almost like, you know, watching almost like a cut from a film or something. Like one moment they're right next to you. And like you said, Carl, next you know, they're like 100 feet, 200 feet away from you.
Yeah, exactly.
yeah,
Like,
and that's one of the things that Stephen King added into the book because, yeah, he is writing this book for himself and for the entertainment value for us, but he's writing about very real things.
Mm-hmm.
mhm.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And Carl and Rosie, I know you guys haven't met him before, but this is Angelo. This is a friend of Don's.
Yeah. He's one of my top subscribers.
One of his top subscribers. He lives all the way out in the Philippines.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
really?
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh, I thought I told you, Jerry. Yeah, he lives out in
I
the
thought I
Philippines.
did.
I knew he was on Don's channel, but I did not know that he was from the Philippines.
That's correct.
That's awesome.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. I just recently I did a video where he suggested that I try that Jollibee. It's the Philippines fast food chain, and I gotta say that place did not disappoint.
Good.
That's awesome.
Oh, yeah. So yeah, Angelo, we're just discussing like the book and like about the movie, the messages that it has as far as playing God and crossing barriers that you shouldn't, and keeping an eye on kids.
And you got to look at this. Look at everything Stephen King has done. Who else has a mind like that to write stories or make movies?
Oh my God.
You know what I mean?
Banner that he does, no one that I know.
He does it in a way just far different than other horror authors. Even, I mean, not only am I a huge fan of Stephen King, but I'm also a huge Clive Barker fan. And, you know, to me, Stephen King is, I mean, I know he hasn't really written as much as he used to because, you know, now he's getting a lot older.
Oh, no, he is still very prolific.
Oh, he
He's
is?
still-
Okay.
he's still
I
writing,
thought,
yeah.
I haven't
He
seen a lot of
released
his
a book
newer
earlier
work.
this year and getting ready to release another one next month.
Oh, yeah, he's just spewing out books like crazy. Still.
Oh wow, I didn't know anything about that. So that's I haven't seen a lot of his newer work lately. I've been mostly, from what I've seen, is most of the stuff he's done like in the late 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s.
Oh, yeah. And Angelo was pointing out something we discussed earlier about the Wendigo,
Yep.
how the Wendigo had cursed the Native American burial ground. That's why everything comes out bad that's buried there. So yeah, so we were discussing how the Wendigo doesn't follow the typical Wendigo lore. It just looks like this one in particular specializes in necromancy, power over the dead.
Right.
Yeah. And let's see.
Oh, Billy says he's got the book.
Oh, you have the book? Yeah, I hope if you haven't read it yet, definitely
Billy Loomis. That's
definitely
funny.
recommend reading it. It's a
Billy
good read.
Loomis for real.
Is Jeannie
Yeah.
there?
Back from the dead.
Mm-hmm.
No, Jenny's
Yeah.
not there.
Let me
And,
see.
Hello. Hello. Hi there.
Like Jenny's not. He said, "Is Jenny there?" Bye.
She was
Jenny.
supposed to be on actually, but she
Yeah.
hasn't seen the films yet, though.
Aaron, I have read
Yeah.
that book, and that was a really good book.
Oh, yeah, I've been
Yeah,
reading
she
to
was
read that.
asking-
I just bought that book. Yeah, I believe it focuses on two things: time travel and the Kennedy assassination.
Right.
Because
Oh, really?
that's what that date is. That
What
date
is the book?
11/22/63. That's November 22nd, 1963, the date
Yeah.
of the Kennedy assassination.
Yep.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a really good book. It is about the Kennedy assassination in a roundabout way, but the actual event of that doesn't happen until within the last
Where's Billy Loomis?
pages of the book.
It's a fan.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
He went and grabbed that mask and put it on because I said,
Nice.
Billy Loomis. Grayson's dead.
I got one myself.
Funny. Hi.
A brain like that doesn't turn off. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Stephen King's brain, it's constantly going, just
Oh yeah.
constantly working and producing all kinds of great work.
Oh, yeah.
He is, and
He's making a new show also. It's going to be a new a new series, and the guys from Stranger Things are going to be working on it with him.
Really?
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
that's why there's
That's
no
cool.
more Stranger Things after the next season, because they already signed a contract to make some show. I can't remember what it is with Stephen King.
Oh yeah.
I do know that they are working on a TV series for an It prequel.
You're on top
Yep.
of me.
Yeah, I hear they're working on a. Yeah, I hear they are working on it
I
prequel.
think they're also working on another season of Castle Rock.
They're talking also.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
that
Oh,
Aaron
is it
points out.
Castle Rock?
Sorry, Don, go ahead.
Listen.
Okay, let me do it.
Yeah,
Okay, well, Finn was already in. All right.
Yeah, he was already in it.
Yep, that's true. And he
Yeah.
was in both it and Stranger Things. I mean, really, this kid is just like at the top. Anyway,
he's
so
all over
this,
the place. He's also in Ghostbusters. I enjoyed him in Ghostbusters.
Yeah, he was
seriously,
great.
this kid
in
is
that.
like at the top of the world. Seriously.
Yeah.
And Angela was asking before, hey guys, which Pet Sematary song do you guys prefer? The song from the Ramones or Starcrawler from the remake? Well, Ramones will always be a beloved classic to me. I just love how they, the reason why the Ramones were performing the song is because Stephen King is a huge fan of them. He's basically a fan of rock music in general. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
hey, he got AC/DC to do all the music for Maximum Overdrive for the.
That's right. Yeah.
He used to have his own rock band.
Yeah, he did. And what was I going to say? Oh, yeah. And Starcrawler, I thought it was also a great take, a great cover for, an updated version of the song for the new remake. And, they did an amazing job on that. But I don't know. Like the original version, it always has a place in my heart. But I do love the Starcrawler's version if you haven't heard it.
Yeah.
Nothing ever replaces the originals.
Yep. I also should point out, there actually was another cover for the song that was actually done by Plain White Tees. They did the song for Frankenweenie, to Tim Burton's animated remake of Frankenweenie in 2012.
Frankenweenie.
Just take a second to process this. A Stephen King, a song that was that's basically based on a Stephen King story, one of the darkest Stephen King stories, and has been used in a Disney film.
Yeah, right. That's what some people forget. But I gotta say really quickly, just before you forget, when they made that remake of Starcrawler of that song of Pet Sematary, I knew that was something that was going to be added. It's like you cannot do. I mean, yes, the original one will always be a classic, but you cannot do Pet Sematary without the song. You just can't.
No.
In
I
fact,
don't know where it was coming from, but we were hearing a lot of crackling somewhere.
I heard it too, and I was like, "What is that?" It sounded like a robot.
Yeah, I heard a bit of that
My
too.
microphone was off.
Oh,
did you guys hear the music I played, or?
So the series that the Duffer Brothers are going to work on is the Talisman.
the Talisman. Oh yeah,
Oh,
I've yet to
wow.
read that one. I've still got to read that.
The Talisman was the first book I've ever read, and I'll tell you what, that was a hell of an introduction to reading books of any kind.
Right.
And
Right.
I
Oh, he just left.
It might be connection issues.
no, we lost Carl.
Carl
I have read a couple hundred books since then, and it still remains one of my
wait, here he is.
favorite. It still remains one of my favorite books I've ever read, and I am really, really looking forward to the movie or series, whatever they're going to do with it. But I hope they stay faithful to the book and that they leave it to where they can also do a sequel with Black House.
Oh yeah, because you always got to be careful with things that you introduce to the book, like as far as adapting from the book to film, because there were some things in the book that I'm glad that they did not put in the film, like when Gage was brought back, and when he went after Judd, basically taunting him about his dead wife Norma, and making all these extremely vulgar comments, things that you like no 2-year-old should ever say. I mean, that would just be very disturbing and upsetting to hear that in a film. Yeah,
it would just be insane. But they did.
I can see them leaving that out of the film, but it would make sense for how he is.
Oh yeah.
Well, they did carry part of that for the remake, though, if you remember. Where
oh yeah, parts of it.
They carried parts of it, just kind of, if you'd like to see, just basically left the vulgar language out.
Pretty much, yeah. And yeah, he still does taunt. He still does some taunting, and the most disturbing thing I think about as far as Gage, like one of the most disturbing moments is where he calls where he calls Lewis over the phone and basically hinted that he had just killed Judd, he just killed Rachel, and wants to go after him next. And I actually have the clip right here. I'll just play the audio. I'll just play the audio. I don't want to share the video on here because it's going to be copywritten. But let me just.
Even the audio is going to be.
Yeah, the audio is going to be an issue.
Yeah,
but
whether it's audio or video, it's going to be the same.
Here, I'll try it here.
Yep.
Here.
First I played with Dad, then Mommy came and I played with Mommy. We played, Daddy. We had an awful good time. Now I want to play with you.
Dude, that's chilling.
It definitely is. I mean, especially since it's coming from, you think as a kid, but it's not really a kid to begin with. I mean, to begin with, once it had been brought back from the cemetery.
I'm going to take off, you guys. Sorry. I got to get into bed.
Oh, okay. Well, it was good to meet you.
It was nice to meet y'all.
Good seeing you, Rosie.
Good to see you.
Have a good night.
Take care, Rosie.
You too.
Yeah. So yeah, that was disturbing, and like a lot of people seem to be really freaked out by what was his name, Church, the cat, when he was brought back. But now when you look at it today, it seems like the way they did the glowing eyes thing seems kind of cheesy and dated compared to today's standards.
Yeah, but
yes and no.
To some degree.
Yeah, yes and no. Even now, with that movie, it still creeps people out.
Yeah.
And also another one that kind of still gets to me a little bit is the manner in which Gage just obliterates Judd. Because you see him with the scalpel cutting into his Achilles heel.
Yeah.
Then cutting him across the mouth.
Yeah, that was
like,
yeah, I mean,
that was unsettling.
That was pretty gruesome.
For being 20 years ago, even today, that is not something that you would just watch and go, "Oh, okay, no."
Yeah, no, like there's not that many.
Nothing cute either.
Yeah, there's not many okay moments in this film. Yeah, so especially like when when he had to like put down the cats again, like lie down, play dead, be
Oh,
dead,
that scene was
and
so
then
upsetting.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
and,
So with that,
and maybe to
um,
kill Gage.
right. So we were talking earlier about how far would you go to bring a loved one back, and I was talking about not wanting to do that because having to go through the process of losing that person again. Imagine having to put down your own child yourself.
Yeah,
That's even
Yeah.
worse.
yeah,
Yeah.
It's even worse
Oh.
because even though whatever it could be that has taken over basically the body of this kid who's already dead to begin with.
It is, but it's their body.
Well, that's what I was about to say was, even though you have to put it down immediately because whatever's in it, it's whatever's in it that's evil, but the fact that you still have to put it down yourself, you're basically not necessarily putting your, killing your son, a second time. You may be killing the evil within, but it's using its body almost to
Yeah.
basically give
Yeah,
that
but you won't kill the
emotional
evil.
reaction.
The evil will go over to another body somewhere.
Right.
You're killing the kid. And that's
Right.
a mental state in the person having to do it.
Right.
That would make a person crazy in a lot of circumstances.
And that's
Absolutely.
exactly what happened at the end of the film, where he burns down Judd's house, like burning Judd's body and Gage's body, but drags Rachel out. How Gage was able to hang her body up there is anyone's guess, but yeah. Anyway, they dragged her. He dragged her out of the house, brings her to the pet cemetery, despite Victor appearing again. His warning not to make matters worse, but Lewis ignores it and just goes on to try to repeat the exact same mistake, expecting a completely different outcome. Now
Hi,
that,
Eileen.
It's
yeah,
Eileen.
that right
What's
there,
up, Eileen?
yeah. Now that right there is the
Ooh, we
definition
can't
of
see you.
yeah. Now that right there is the definition of insanity.
It
Yeah,
is.
it is. Now, Aaron just wrote this. This is another long one. Okay, so if you know how a Wendigo works, they have the ability to take human form. So is it possible that the souls that were brought back weren't actually them at all, but the Wendigo in that body? So when they put that body in that ground, it was almost like feeding it, giving the power to the Wendigo to have a place to go. Like it's never resurrected as the cat or the kid. And I've
Huh.
actually
That
kind
would
of,
actually kind of make sense.
yeah,
It
because
would
there's
make
a
sense.
Wendigo
They're
involved.
taking over the body, and they would have access to the brain and its memories, and they can go off of that.
It's
Absolutely.
possible.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah, but in the book now, I haven't read the book, so I'm going Don off of what you just said.
Mhm.
Gage would not have known anything about Judd's wife.
Yeah, exactly.
So
Yeah,
so
that
the
is true.
Wendigo would have had some sort of a knowledge on his wife. Now, if this Wendigo is primarily in this area all the time, and Judd has lived there pretty much his whole life, right?
Yeah.
So maybe then he would have had some knowledge of his wife, but beyond that, Gage would have never known anything of that. So with what Aaron just presented to us, that would make perfect sense.
It would.
It could. I never really thought of it like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, even she says the Wendigo has that almost godlike power because the reality is the Wendigo is basically a demon of some sort. So it would make a lot of sense, like most legendary, like a lot of these, which I try not to say too much, a lot of these demonic entities, they'll have all that knowledge even before you encounter them. They're going to know everything about you. So, and the Wendigo, being a demonic type creature, is no exception, obviously.
Yeah.
And yeah, like whatever yeah, like a few people have like pointed out to like saying oh this movie has a few flaws or oh that's silly, but I can guarantee you it is nothing the whatever silliness you find in Pet Sematary, it doesn't compare to Pet Sematary 2, where they just really, yeah, I feel like they just really screwed the pooch on that one.
Yeah, I don't really remember anything about Pet Sematary 2, but when it comes to part 1, honestly, in all of it, I don't think there's anything silly in any part of that movie or even the book that anybody would consider silly. Part
Yeah.
2, okay, yeah, silly galore. But in the first one, it may be the as film wise from beginning to end straight out horror.
Yeah.
No comedic aspect or anything like that. It is straight out horror from beginning to end.
Yeah,
Oh
it
yeah,
is.
because I don't know. I just read comments saying like, "Oh, the cat's glowing eyes look ridiculous," or like, people just talking like a bunch of nonsense about the original. But hey, if you want to look at nonsense, don't look at Pet Sematary 2. Now that one was
That changed the tone overall because
it did,
in the first one, it had a relatively serious, scary, and often sad atmosphere. In
it
the
did.
second one, it tried to continue with the horror, but to me, it was more of almost it looked like if it wasn't so explicit, it could have became more of like a family film because it was focusing mainly on kids, but more importantly, it just had a much more silly tone to it than the first one did.
I
Sibling
think that was
rivalry.
Rosie.
Oh.
That's
Yeah.
Rosie, yeah.
But yeah, like the main reason why a lot of people would watch Pet Sematary 2 is to see Clancy Brown's performance when he played Gus. Yeah, now Gus was the abusive father of Drew, one of the main
Brad,
characters. And what?
here he is with his cockroach jokes on
Uh,
me.
Okay, that's it. You're
Okay,
gonna
now just thinking about this, it with the whole concept of Pet Cemetery, what would happen if we buried a cockroach in Pet Cemetery?
Oh no! Don't even remind me.
Oh.
it would
I
be
just
the
wanted to throw that wanted to throw that out there.
it would be the
Oh,
apocalypse.
and to let you guys know, Greg is now back doing his show, so
Okay.
he'll probably be doing his regular show tonight.
Okay,
You
so let's
thought
see.
you
So,
were
so just to give you
thought
that
you were
heads up.
safe so
Okay,
far
so
tonight.
we're at 52 minutes and we got about an hour and a half. So okay, we total.
Well,
Okay,
less than an
so
hour and a half.
yeah. Anyway, yeah, less.
Yeah.
No, I mean like all this has to be an hour and a half long.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, like Pet Sematary 2, like I said, Clancy Brown's like he plays Gus, who is the sheriff of the town and also the abusive stepdad of Drew, who is friends with the main character, Jeff, played by Edward Furlong. And that's another reason, Edward Furlong, who played John Connor in Terminator 2.
Okay.
Okay, next person who mentions cockroaches is going to have a box of roaches sent to their house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Finally, someone can send the roaches away from me.
Yeah, that's exactly what's going to happen to you guys if you don't knock it off.
It's not. You hear that, Brad? Especially you.
Oh, that would just encourage Brad.
But yeah, the story structure of Pet Sematary 2, I just felt like it was just really very wonky because like they open it like the basically like it's the whole premise. It starts off as let's see, this kind of kid, Jeff, played by like I said, Edward Furlong. He witnesses his mother's horrific death from a accident on a studio because she's an actress, and so and the reason why he is sent over to Ludlow, Maine, where the original story takes place, is because not only was his mom's hometown there, where she had to be buried, but also his dad is a vet, works as a veterinarian, and a veterinarian opening just there was a job opening in Ludlow, Maine, so he could just move his son to and practice his business there. It's like, oh, that's convenient. But and so he befriends Drew, who has a dog named Zowie, who is then killed by Gus because he went after the rabbits. And I'm like, okay, here's the thing: if you don't want your dog to attack your the fence, containing all your rabbits, why not make him an inside dog? You know, like
Yeah.
if you're really that concerned about the rabbits, why not keep your dog inside?
Yeah, really.
So
It
and you just,
kind of didn't make a lot of sense, to be
yeah,
honest.
and you just killed an innocent animal. You know,
Yeah.
that's right when that scene happened. That's how I knew I hated Gus at first. But then when he was brought back as a undead Gus, when Zowie got his revenge, ripping out his neck. Then when he came back, I was like, Clancy Brown was like just like putting it on an over the top performance from then on out.
The thing I feel bad about Clancy Brown is that he tries to do some serious roles, but the movies that he's a part of are just ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, he does have, obviously a few exceptions,
Yeah.
obviously.
I
And
know what you're
Jeremy,
going with it.
consider we're going to Mansfield in 2 weeks. You got to hand it to him. He had a great performance in Shawshank Redemption.
Oh yes,
He often played the bad guy in a lot of movies.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, he was one of the guards in that
Pickle
movie,
Tom.
wasn't he?
Byron Hadley. Yes, he was. He played Byron Hadley, the head prison guard, and a far better Stephen King film adaptation in every conceivable way.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
and it's crazy to see him.
Redemption is one of the best adaptations out of all the movies.
Yes, one of the best films of all time, and yeah, and it's also crazy to know that Clancy Brown playing all these just brutal villain roles, and then he becomes part of our childhoods when he plays the voice of Mr. Krabs in SpongeBob.
I know.
Yeah.
I sort of believe that. And
Well,
he
so
also,
that right there just shows you the range that he can cover.
well, he was also in.
Yeah.
He was only in for like really, I think the first full 2 episodes, but he kind of made sporadic appearances. He was also in the show, the Fox series show Sleepy Hollow, who played the sheriff.
Oh yeah,
So he was good in that.
yeah. I
And
just remembered. Yeah.
he also was, and I recently discovered this. It's not a horror show, but I also recently had him. I also recently discovered he was also in the show. And Don, you probably may know the show too, Chicago PD.
Oh yeah, I'm familiar
Yeah,
with it.
he plays an inmate who eventually does get freed. And well, the rest of the show you would have to find for yourself. But he does good in Chicago PD.
Well, wasn't he also in the X-Files?
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, he
I think
was.
he was in at least 1 or 2 episodes.
Yeah, he was also in a sci-fi film that I'm very fond of, Starship Troopers.
I'm actually looking it up right now to see if I can find how many episodes he. Yeah, he was definitely in the X-Files.
But you look at the range
I'm
that
thinking
Stephen King's
that he
got.
was one of those aliens that was controlled by the black oil.
Right.
Right.
You
Yeah.
look at the range Stephen King's got on his movies. Look at Storm of the Century.
Yep, that's another.
Yeah, I
You
got
know, that wasn't even, that's not even considered a horror movie. But it had a storyline out of this world.
It did.
it. Did. Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's the thing. Yeah.
I
There's
would
a
like to
lot
see
of
him,
religious
I would like to see him
undertones
come
in
out
that.
with a couple more
Yeah.
movies like Storm of the Century, The Redemption, all that stuff like that. You know, he's known as a horror writer, but he's also got writing skills that puts out some of the best movies that aren't in horror.
Very true. Like The Green Mile is another example.
Exactly.
Yep.
Mhm.
You know, each,
Yeah.
one,
Stand by
each
me.
one of these 3 movies we named right there were multi-billion-dollar movies that when they came out, boom.
Oh yes, definitely.
It-
Yeah, like
There's another thing that a lot of people are overlooking that when it comes to Stephen King and his novels or his movies is that he does a lot of excellent horror movies. He does a lot of excellent drama movies and coming of age movies. But one thing that I am seeing overlooked more than anything are the religious undertones that he's got in nearly every story and film that he has.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I mean, he has some of his work have some religious characters, you know, like let's see, Margaret White in Carrie and Miss Carmody in The Mist. You know.
And even in the Green Mile has got the religious undertones with John Coffey.
Yep, John
There's a
Coffey.
lot of people that are taking John Coffey because of the JC initials and a lot of comparisons with Jesus.
Right.
Yep.
Oh yeah, very true.
With Storm of the Century, um, Andre Lenoge
Yes, he did.
is like
he did, Eric.
I forget what the word is, but if you mix up the words of his last name, it spells out Legion, which is a huge religious aspect in the demon world.
Right.
Ah.
Yeah. Oh boy, I could go on and on about
There's just so
different
much.
movies in the religious undertones, but
Oh yeah, he's got
every
them in
one of
just
them
about
has got
every movie.
Oh yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
as Josh said, he's just religious. Of course, Josh is not. So
I'm not religious either.
yeah,
So
both of us are, as you saw from Don's necklaces. He has
yeah.
his crucifix.
I,
Yeah,
I never take my necklaces off.
right.
And Aaron, yes, Stand By Me. It is an adaptation of a story that he wrote that's called The Body,
Yep.
and it is in 4 seasons, different seasons.
Yeah,
It's in
four
either
seasons.
different seasons or Four Past Midnight. It's in one of those two collections. It's
Yeah.
called The Body, and they took it and changed the title to Stand By Me to make it more to grab people's attention.
Yep, and that story had everything. You know, it had that film had everything: a great story, great actors, and we had a great director behind it, Rob Reiner, who also directed
Yep, Rob Reiner.
Misery. Yeah, who also directed Misery.
Another, which is another Stephen King tale, obviously.
Yes.
Oh, look out!
And
Okay, guys, I've got to get off
mistaken,
here. I got to do something. I appreciate being on here.
Oh, no problem.
Uh,
Yeah. Thank you for joining.
check out, our shows and everything. But Sunday, check out on Travel Channel the new shows coming out. The Ghosts of Devil's Perch
Yes.
with Katie Stafford.
Mm-hmm.
I will be in Kansas City or Smith Mill, Missouri with KD on a premiere showing down there.
Oh, that's awesome.
Awesome.
Yeah, we may go live doing it. So
great. Yeah, we'll
check
definitely
that out. That'll be Sunday, actually, is when it's coming on.
What time is it on?
7 o'clock Sunday.
Okay.
Okay, I'll have to jot that down on my
So
calendar.
8 o'clock.
Yeah, check that out because a lot of stuff happened on there and everything. If you've seen the trailer for it, check out the trailer on there. You're going to see some stuff that wasn't expected to happen.
This I got to see.
If you go live on Sunday at that time, I believe the schedule will be clear because the show that's normally on that time is taking a month off.
And that's Suits, right?
I was gonna say
no. He'll be on at 8:30.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's
8:30 Central Time. So the show that comes on at 7 o'clock your time is Let's Talk About It.
Let's Talk
They're
About
taking
It.
a month off.
Right. I don't know if I can show the show live like that because of copyright infringements, but I will be interviewing KD down there.
Okay.
So I'm real good friends because you guys know that this came from KD, the new
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, you were showing us that last
Don
week.
hasn't seen it before, so
Right. It works fantastic. I'll tell you, I like it a lot better than some of the other equipment. But yeah. But anyway, I gotta get off here. I appreciate you letting me come on and stuff, and I'll get back with you guys.
Yeah, we'll have you back on again soon.
Sounds
Okay.
good.
Good to meet you. Good to meet you. Take care. Take care.
Also on Stand By Me, if I'm not mistaken, doesn't John Cusack isn't he the body at the end of the film? On Stand By
I'm not
Me?
sure. It's been a long time since I've seen Stand By Me. So actually, it's probably been a number of years since I've watched it. So it's been it's been.
I want to say that it's him, but I'm not 100% certain.
Yep. I just got my copy.
Don, we got one other person who's interested. It's actually Tom Nelly. This is Tom's world. So now you'll finally get Nelly.
Nick, we got a bad echo on your end.
From me?
Oh,
Well, we did have.
is it fine now?
I don't hear it. Up, and here is Tom Nelly of This Is Tom's World. So, Jeremy, I think this is your first time meeting him. So, guys, here's
Hi,
Tom
Tom.
Nelly. What's up, Tom?
What's
Hello,
going
Tom.
on? Nice to meet you guys finally.
All right.
Yeah.
And yes, you were correct. It is John Cusack that plays the older brother in the flashbacks.
That's what I thought.
Just saying. Yeah, it was John Cusack.
Don is, like I said,
Well, no,
obviously,
not the older brother. I thought that he was the body that they were going after in
No.
the woods.
He played the older brother in the flashbacks.
Yeah, that's true. And
what
so
am I thinking here?
I got it all up here, man. I'm a veritable database
here.
of useless knowledge right in here.
yep.
Nobody wants to play trivia games with me because of
There's a
that.
little something we have in common, Tom.
Yeah, see, and like I said, Don, before, obviously, and Jeremy, I think this is your first time meeting him as well. Like I said, obviously, we're familiar with his video series, This Is Tom's World, that I always joke about all the time. He also does, of course, he was doing a break with a show called Don and Tom's World, and he's also one of the runners of BB3 TV.
Yep.
Oh, nice.
And we will be doing a at some point we're going to try to do a Dom and Tom's World live from the Gettysburg Battlefield Bash this coming weekend.
Oh, I'm so envious. I really want to get to this.
I really wish you guys could come, man. I would love to meet you guys in person. I mean, hell. I've known Nick for what? It's got to be like
2 years at least.
Yeah, at least 2 or 3 years now. From Teddy's network,
Nice.
WLFEDB radio.
So, Tom, we were just discussing the ridiculous sequel, Pet Sematary 2, and yeah, I rewatched it like last month, and it's just about as silly as I remember it. Yeah,
I'll tell you what, the sequel was not as bad as the remake.
Are you sure?
I gotta say, because they changed too many things up. You know what I mean? You had Gage in the original one,
right?
Who was like the creepy factor when it came down to it, and then they changed it up to the older daughter.
Yeah.
In the new one. Now in the sequel, you had you guys were talking about him. What the hell is his name?
Gus.
Yeah, the guy that got like his head chopped off and all that.
Throat ripped out by the dog, Zowie.
Yeah, and he was the same guy that played the bad guy in Highlander, if I remember right.
That's true.
And Kurgan, I think it was his name in that. I see my cut has improved your voice.
I see that my cut has improved your voice.
Exactly. Shaken, not stirred.
Shaken, not stirred.
Precisely.
I miss Sean Connery.
I'm a big impression person too, so
Yeah. So yeah, like
I'm looking all this up because I really don't remember anything about Pet Sematary 2.
Really?
Yeah, I've seen it, but it's been a very long time, and it's not as memorable as the original one.
I think that the scene that sticks out the most for me was the whole dirt bike scene. Where like they were getting the face closer and closer to the wheel, and that was awesome.
Yeah,
and was one of the few awesome.
Right where Gus where Undead Gus just takes off the bully Clyde's like half his face with the wheel when his scarf when he had him down the ground, his scarf when he was putting the motorcycle in his face and the scarf got caught and pulled his head right in the back tire and just shredded half his face. And then
that was awesome.
And then he gets buried and brought back. Yeah, and then he gets buried and brought back. And I will say this though, I think one of the dumbest things they did for Pet Sematary 2 is try to like how in the original they bury like the cat who was good and the Gage who was pure innocent, they come back as killers. Well, when Gus and when Clyde came back, they were just the same as they were before.
Yeah, well, Gus was an asshole all around.
What's surprising is that parts 1 and 2 were directed by the same person.
Yeah, Mary Lambert. Yeah,
Mary Lambert. Yeah.
But so
you would think from a director's standpoint that she would want the sequel to follow the original movie faithfully, but when you completely change things around like that that's almost a career suicide.
Yeah, it
Well,
really is.
you know, if
Pretty
they were
much.
going to do that, I would have liked to seen Fred Gwynn come back.
Yeah, Fred Gwynn.
Well,
He was a great
He would have
actor.
been a
Yeah, why
true.
not?
Sometimes.
He already
You know what?
played a dead man in another movie
That's
or
right.
TV
You know
series.
what?
Let's do it in
Put it
this
this
one.
way. Put it this way. He
Sometimes
would have been
that
a
is better.
true. He would have been the true Herman Munster in that movie.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, his performance was one of the best things about Pet Cemetery because you know what,
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to mention this, and I'm just gonna go ahead and flat out say it. I did not like what was his name? I had his name written down
Oh.
here. The actor who played Lewis.
I wanted to
Lewis.
bring that up to you guys.
Around a
Actually, while you're
shower.
looking,
Yeah.
while you're looking that up,
Wait,
Don. Here's a
wait, I've
trivia
got it.
fact because I've heard about this, and Tom, you may get a kick out of this. But did you guys know that that Bruce Campbell was the original choice to play Lewis? in
Oh
the
my
ori-
God, that
original
would have
film?
been so much of a different movie.
It would have
Oh
been.
my God,
That was
would
his
have been
first.
a
That
phenomenal
was
movie.
that was literally, I think, either Stephen King's or Mary Lambert's first choice, and to have Bruce Campbell in it.
Dale
Yep.
Dale Midkiff.
Dale Midkiff. I did not. I just go ahead and flat out say it. I did not like Dale Midkiff's performance as Lewis
Well, you know
because
what? I didn't mind it.
I mean, I don't know. I
In the
just felt like
first
for the
one.
most part, he like his tone, his like he had his lack of emotion. He just more than half the time it just seemed like he was just like bored or uninterested. He just had that kind of feel, you know, like
kind of.
that
In,
that
in
felt
Yeah,
like
some
he
of,
would have
in
been
some
awesome.
of the some of the scenes he did,
yeah. So
but for the most part, it wasn't bad. It fit for the first one.
yeah,
I think.
I just personally liked Jason Clark's performance as Lewis
Hefty.
more. I
What's
liked
up?
yeah. Anyway, I liked Jason Clark's performance more in the remake. You know, that's like one of the few things in the remake that I like best.
But Fred
I-
Gwynn was. Oh my God.
Oh yeah, like John Lithgow could not like he as much as I as
Oh
much
my
as I like John
God! I
Lithgow,
couldn't even imagine that.
as much as I liked John Lithgow, I don't see him in like filling the shoes of
He'd be
Fred
like,
Gwynn.
Sometimes
Well,
that is better.
I thought that with John Lithgow, the way that he did that thing compared to what he is really known for, I thought that added more to the creepy factor because that's not the kind of role that you would expect to see him in.
No, but
Yeah.
he does pop up in some roles over time that you wouldn't expect to see him in. Like when they remade the Twilight Zone movie,
Right.
and he redid the whole William Shatner thing on the plane. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like
I
you wouldn't
remember that.
expect to see him in that, but he actually pulled it off.
Yeah,
Kind of.
for the most part. Yeah.
Kind of.
And
You know, he doesn't have the whole. There's something on the plane. Some
Yeah.
thing. You know.
Now going back to when you were saying that Bruce Campbell was the first choice
God,
to play Lewis, the thing that I would have about that is that, granted, Bruce Campbell is a legend when it comes to his style of acting, especially in horror movies.
Yeah.
But if he had gotten that part in Pet Sematary, I don't think anybody would have been able to take the movie seriously for what it was supposed to be if he was in that role.
Well, he can be serious in his roles. It has happened over time.
that is true.
I mean, he does have a certain comedic value to most of his roles, but
Right.
he can be serious when it comes to it. Like if he feels like it's worth it, you know what I mean. But for the most part, yeah, I get that he is very comedic.
Yeah.
And it didn't start off that way. I mean, you go back to the original Evil Dead. That was not funny at all.
That was-
No, it was a
comedic
very
value
serious tone.
whatsoever.
That one is much serious, much
And
more
then
serious than the
Evil
other.
Dead 2, there was like a minor comedic value, and then by Army of Darkness,
It's just a lot of fun to watch.
Straight
Oh,
up
yeah.
horror
That
comedy.
That might be that.
And then
might
Ash
be
versus
why-
Evil Dead, that I couldn't get enough of that. To be
Yeah.
honest.
Well, and don't forget too, not to mention after Army of Darkness, then of course you had, the somewhat remake that was the 2013 one, which kind of set back the original tone of the original film with that serious tone to it.
Oh
But
yeah.
once, of course, you got the television show, which read right back to how
Right. Ash
Army of
versus Evil
Darkness
Dead.
Evil 2 were, which it
Yeah.
became a comedic show.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, Nick, what I did want to mention, I do love the ending of the original Pet Cemetery better than the remake. That's the one
Yeah.
thing that I'm because the original, like it's they do like make it like the ending like a bit like the book, but they added something new to it. Like just like in the book, Rachel Lewis buries Rachel after Gage had killed her, and then she comes back and oh my god, I just cannot never forget the way she looked when she was undead. Like
Yeah, she was a
her
zombie.
eye,
basically.
her
Yeah.
like all of her skin of her of her socket was skeletal. Eye was out and it was dripping out this would look like this cranial fluid, I think. And
Yeah.
and they made it even more disturbing when Lewis was just happy to see his wife brought back, and starts kissing her despite that. It's like you're making out with a corpse, and
Yeah.
then when he's not looking, picks up a knife, raises it towards him, even though the picture cuts out.
Yeah.
You hear the knife plunging in, and Lewis screaming.
Sopranos type ending.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
also the way that she looks up at him right before that happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's the same chick that played what's her name in Star Trek: The Next Generation.
Yes.
Yep.
Denise Crosby. Denise Crosby. That's who that is.
Yep.
Yar, Lieutenant
Yeah.
Yar.
Lieutenant Yar. Yeah.
Mhm.
That's actually her name.
Oh yeah.
I love that
She was
show.
also the mother in Cujo.
That's
Oh, yeah.
right.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
it. And she was also in if I'm correct, I think she was also in the movie. It's not a Stephen King film, but I think she was also in the movie The Howling.
Wait, no, that's
Oh
Dee
wait, no,
Wallace.
I'm thinking of
No,
somebody else.
no, that's Dee Wallace Stone.
She looks a lot like her. Seriously,
He does look similar.
yeah. I literally thought for the longest time that it was the
And,
same
also-
actress. But now I've
also-
kind of looked back and thinking, wait, no, it's not.
Yeah. Also in Cujo, that was also Dee Wallace Stone.
Yeah,
I'm
Yeah,
looking her up. There's also another movie that she was a part of, but she was very minor in it. One of those things where if you're not paying attention, you're going to miss it. So I'm trying to find that right now. Yeah, it might have been a TV movie.
But yeah, I
isn't
feel
that Melissa Gilbert's ex-husband? I'm probably wrong.
Listen,
They call it creative control, but it's not authentic. And then finally, everybody has a price.
Wait, she actually had a part in Pet Cemetery too?
no, she didn't.
I don't remember. I was
But
going to
she's
say
credited with having one.
I don't remember anything
I don't
with
think so.
her in it.
But
Oh, she was also in The Walking Dead.
Oh, which season? Because I only ever got up to. I only actually finished up.
I have seen
seasons 4 and
every
5.
episode of
She
The
was in
Walking
3
Dead.
episodes between seasons 4 and 5. I remember.
I'm gonna have to go back because I know I've seen those seasons.
I've seen every episode of The Walking Dead. I guarantee you.
She was in Terminus.
Terminus.
Really?
Yes,
Oh,
I do
yeah.
remember that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
She was in Terminus, that thing there in The Walking Dead.
Yeah.
oh yeah,
I can't find what it is that I remember watching, but she had a very, very small part in it. I can't
What's her
find-
name again? Because I'm looking her up.
Her name is Denise Crosby.
Denise Crosby. Okay, so in
Yeah.
Walking Dead. Where did? Man, it's like
She
so
was also in Deep Impact, which I really enjoyed that movie.
Yeah,
She
you know
was in
what?
48
Yep, I remember.
Hours.
I remember her now. But it
Yep.
was like a very brief role that she
Dolly
had in Walking
Dearest.
Dead.
oh yeah, she was in Dolly Dearest. Yeah, it's been a long time since I've seen Dolly Dearest, and I don't know. That movie just didn't. I don't know. I have mixed feelings about that. I didn't really
But
like it.
she is credited in being in Pet Cemetery too. They must have done like a flashback or something.
I
Yeah,
don't remember there
It
being
might
that
have
many
been.
flashbacks. But yeah, I will say this though. The most disturbing scenes, like we were talking about this earlier, that stand out is like like Zelda, Rachel's sister who died. Who was killed,
Rachel.
died from spinal meningitis. But I do somewhat like what they did with the remake with that character, like how it really adds more to Rachel's guilt. How she used the dumbwaiter to try to bring the food up to her, a dumbwaiter that was malfunctioning, and then Zelda just fell down that dumbwaiter chute and died right there in front of her. And
that just
also,
didn't seem possible.
Which I will say this, I think I do agree with Lewis on that. How like the parent and how parents are partially to blame. It's just like you like left an 8-year-old girl alone to look after her terminally ill sister.
Why not just send her to like an actual hospital instead of keeping her in your home?
Because
or at least like, because they always sometimes will bring in like a nurse or something like that. Like, why not even hire a nurse to take over? Why not literally have a nurse or somebody, from the hospital actually take care? You're not going to be able. A child is not going to be able to. They don't have that knowledge.
No.
Yeah, exactly. I'm pretty sure. I don't know. Like somehow, I think if this happened in real life today, the parents would be in jail.
Yeah, that would be kind of like child abandonment, even abuse.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that was like 80 something, like
1989.
1989, but it takes place years before that.
Right.
That one scene, yeah. And I do love the makeup effects that went into both the original and the remake to create a very disturbing looking being.
Yeah.
And it's good makeup effects that they use, though.
Well, it's not just that, but also the way that they showed her back.
Oh
yeah.
It was all show like her spine.
Yeah,
I was like, wow. That was so disturbing.
First, I played with Jed. Then I played with Mommy. We had an awful good time.
How she looks in the face, but when you look at her from the back, that's even worse.
Yeah, I think it's even worse in the back
I
than
want
it
to
is
play
up
with
in the front.
you.
Don was playing that audio clip earlier in the show, Tom.
Yeah, the audio clip of Gage talking to Lewis after he had just killed Judd and Rachel, and it's like, "Yep, I just killed them, and you're next." But he was like hinting at it. That part was chilling to me.
I just want to respond back to Jill's comment. Jill, you should have been here earlier. We also had Carl and Rosie on.
Yep.
So we had quite a crew.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I'm actually excited that you're excited that I'm on here. So I'm just saying.
Yeah, I want to give the opportunity not only for because honestly, for a show like this, I want to give Don an opportunity to meet some of the other show hosts, and even including those who are not on our network. Of course, Don has known about you before, Tom, because I showed some of the videos.
I've commented on stuff here, and I've been in the chat.
And Josh,
I thought I'd give the opportunity. And of course, obviously, I was hoping to have you, have you on one of the shows at some point.
Yeah.
And you just happened to catch me on a night that I was vibing a little.
Yeah, and Nick, Josh says, "Love your devotion to the motion pictures. Y'all tickled me." Well,
Well, listen. Well, that actually cost extra. If you want us to tickle you, I'm just saying.
So going back into Pet Sematary, because we only got 7 minutes, is that Stephen King wrote one of the scariest stories ever. When it comes to Pet Sematary, he also tackles a lot of things which is not necessarily talked about, but the way that he did the story is he tackled things that are things that people really need to pay attention in. That is paying attention to your kids, because if you don't,
they'll get run over by a truck.
Bad may happen to them.
Yeah,
for sure. And
you got a good compliment here, Jill. I mean, Don.
Love you, Don. Keep it up. We're all here for you. Thank you so much.
You got to watch your kids, or they'll get run over by a truck, and they'll come back and kill your family.
Yep. And Josh was saying before, like devotion to motion pictures. Well, I've developed devotion to motion pictures just starting from a very, very young age. I've started studying film when I was 5 years old, so 25 years. Yeah.
Wow.
Damn, you're old, Don.
I neither look it nor feel it.
Listen, I'm 47 years old. Don't tell me about old.
Hey, you know what?
I'm not that far behind you.
Hey, you know what, Don? Just remember something, because I remember we saw this from one of Tom's shows. You better make sure you're going the right direction. Otherwise, you're going to be living in a van down by the river like Tom.
You'll be living in a van down by the river. You'll have plenty of time for rolling doobies when you're living in a van down by
Why
the
do
river.
I feel like I'm in a 70s song now?
So, yeah, back to Pet Cemetery. I will say, so to sum it all up, to sum up Pet Cemetery franchise. Oh, thank you, Joe. Thank you so much. To sum up the Pet Cemetery franchise, book is phenomenal yet very grim.
Yeah.
The first film was very chilling to watch. It's a fairly good adaptation. Second film is very iffy. Just yeah, it doesn't really have a whole lot going for it. The remake to me was just decent. I've seen worse horror remakes.
Yeah.
Hey, you want to talk
I
to me
just
about?
don't understand why they flip flop the whole kid thing. I don't get that.
Yeah,
Like,
'cause
why
it's
don't
not
they make
engaged
the older daughter?
I think it's
I,
because
I think it's a way of just kind of freshening things up a little bit.
well, not only that. Well, I also think that the reason why it's the daughter this time because the daughter felt like this sort of a fascination or connection to the pet cemetery, and so yeah.
Yeah, but I think that worked though in the first one though.
Oh, no doubt it did.
The first one is I mentioned this before. The first one is one of those rare horror movies where it is flat out horror from minute one to the very last minute, all the
And the
way
fact-
through. No comedy sequences like you see in a lot of them. It is straight out horror from beginning to end.
And the fact
Yep.
that she knew who Paxquell was,
Yeah, because
even though she got it wrong, but still.
yeah, because they introduced this sort of a psychic visions that Ellie has in the film. Yeah, like just one of the many tropes of Stephen King stories of children developing psychic visions. They did that for Children of the Corn. They did that for the Langoliers. They've done that for
Yeah, the
a long list
Langoliers.
of other things.
Yeah.
I remember Langoliers. Just even hearing that title just makes me laugh.
That makes me think of Bronson Pinchot.
I
When I think about the Langoliers, when I think about Langoliers, I was just like, okay, so the first for the most part it's good until you get to the third act, like the last quarter of the film, where you look at this, I'm just like, oh my god, Pac-Man's entire family got
Yeah,
mutated.
it's Pac-Man based.
Yeah.
Because, of course, you
the Langoliers is basically Bounty Bartoctimus snaps.
yeah, minus Larry Appleton.
Larry is the Langolier because he finally had enough of Balky.
Yeah, he said, "I'm out."
Yeah.
Man. Whatever.
Oh yeah, Doggy,
But yeah,
Perfect Strangers.
Perfect Strangers is my all-time favorite sitcom from back then.
I love
Yeah,
Perfect.
I'm not familiar with Perfect Strangers, but I am very familiar with the spin-off of it, Family Matters, which
Yes,
you remember because I do know from Perfect Strangers, Harriet
Harriet.
was the elevator operator and her
She
husband was the cop.
and her
So
husband Carl would come
and
on every
so-
once in a while. Yeah.
Yep. And so the creators of Perfect Strangers decided, okay, let's take this couple and make a sitcom about a black family. And so
And it was
that's how
actually better than Perfect Strangers as far as ratings went. But I love Perfect Strangers. I don't know what it was. I love Balky. I love Larry.
Jill.
And now we also have
Babies.
to redo
Perfect Strangers was perfect.
Yeah. And Jill,
Had that
You know who
dancing.
she's referring to, right?
Yeah.
Us.
yes, us. Hey Jill, well, Jill, you'd be amazed at what kind of research I do.
You'd be
Yeah.
amazed what I remember.
And the whole thing about Family Matters is that even the creators weren't expecting it, but Urkel, who was only supposed to have been a one-time, one-episode character, took the show, literally.
Yeah, he stole
And
the show.
now he has his own line of marijuana that is endorsed by Snoop Dogg.
Yeah, we saw your comments, Cheyenne. We
Oh yeah,
showed a
I think
few
we
of
did,
them.
did we put a few of them up?
Yeah,
I believe
like
we
when
did.
she was explaining about like the Wendigo.
Oh yes,
earlier,
that
yeah.
one. I believe
Yeah.
that was
Wait,
there. Yes.
somebody said something about Firestarter. Now
That
that
was
invokes
yeah,
a
it
whole
was,
other.
gosh.
Yeah.
So
Firestarter
anyway,
remake.
we got less than a minute, guys. And
Yep.
Dave's coming on.
So
Well,
yeah, to sum it all up,
I need more than a minute for Firestarter because Drew Barrymore is in it, and I'm
Yeah.
sorry, we
Yeah.
got to talk about
So
Drew.
Pet,
yeah, we
Pet
will go over.
Cemetery gets a thumbs up from me.
Yep. First one gets original gets a thumbs up for the book and the
Yes.
first film. Thumbs
Love the
down on the
original.
second, and just a meh on the remake. So
I'll give
Yeah.
the remake a thumbs up.
I'll give a thumbs up too for that. The remake.
I will give a thumbs up on the original. I will give a meh on the second one, and on the remake, I'll give a thumbs down. I'm sorry.
Are we
Can't
gonna?
do it.
Is this a new thing we're gonna be doing for movies from this point on? When we do the show, is these thumbs up?
Might as well.
we
Why
got
not?
There
Yeah,
you
why
go.
not?
John. Now
Siskel
you
and
just had a new
Ebert and
idea for your
Siskel and
show.
Ebert.
We're just gonna do a Roger
Yep.
Ebert ending.
We're Siskel, Ebert, and Ebert.
Yeah.
Siskel, Roper, Ebert, and who should be the fourth one?
Bing. Like Chandler.
Well, I am not going to be on all of your episodes.
Yeah.
I'll be
understand.
Chandler.
I wasn't planning on being on tonight.
Well, that's
I
why
wasn't either,
that's
but
why
here I
when I
am.
saw some of the other
Yeah.
show hosts watching, I decided to have them come on. So hopefully in the
Yeah.
future, you don't always have to be on it, Jeremy. So that way we got some of the others.
Yeah.
So it's a good way to get Don to meet some of the others because this was his
Mhm.
first time really meeting a few other show hosts.
Oh yeah, it's great to finally meet you, Tom.
Oh, awesome. I love it. Man.
And make sure before we get
We're
off,
friends now
go
on
to
Facebook too.
make sure to go and subscribe to youtube.com/this is Tom's World.
Yep.
No apostrophe.
Subscribe to Tom's World. Subscribe to my channel. Subscribe to Nick's channel. And Jeremy, do you have a channel on or just the Things Network?
One of 1,000.
Wow.
I'm not. If I start rattling off all my links, we're going to be here for another 15 minutes. So I'm just going to keep my mouth shut and
You're
tell
just a
everybody
whore, aren't you?
playing along.
You're just a social
so-
media whore.
And so to
I am too.
Yeah.
Don't feel
So to wrap this up, definitely look at the first Pet Cemetery. Definitely read the book. Both of the book is sad, grim, but it's definitely worth reading. And hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and I look forward to having you all join us next week. So it's Don Elmy signing out. Thank you all you guys for joining me. Thank you, Nick. Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Jeremy.
Thank you, Carl and Rosie,
Thank
too.
you, Carl and
Dave
Rosie.
just now said he might be starting a few minutes late.
Yes. We gotta end
Just now said that.
Okay, we gotta end
come
this.
on.
Okay, we gotta end this. So thank you, Carla and Rosie as well. And hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you all next week. Bye.
Good night, guys.